A man named Rock tells his two sons that they both behaved well today. Their mother's funeral has just ended. Rock, who has lost his wife, tries to stay strong for the sake of his children. Now he will have to cope with raising the boys on his own. As he puts them to bed, Rock tells them that everything people said about their mother today is true. She was wonderful, and they must never forget that. Only when the boys fall asleep does the man allow himself to give in to his emotions and cry, unable to stop. What could be worse than losing a loved one? A crow lands on the window outside. Rock does not manage the kitchen as well as his wife did, so he gives his sons cereal for breakfast. Too many responsibilities have fallen on him. Now he is both father and mother. He cannot keep up with everything. The toast burns, and on top of that the boys start acting up. The man stops abruptly to catch his breath and keep himself from slipping into a breakdown. The boys quiet down as well. Later, while everyone is brushing their teeth, Rock asks his sons whether they are truly ready to go back to school. The boys say yes. When everyone leaves, the crow lands on the window again. The man drives the children to school. Their teacher promises to keep an eye on the boys. At home, Rock is visited by his brother, Paul. Rock is already on the edge, unsure how to go on. Paul advises him to shift some of the household chores onto the boys. They are old enough to wash the dishes. The man breaks down and cries again. Paul offers to pick the boys up from school himself, but Rock refuses, believing it would be better for his sons if everything stayed as normal as possible. When he picks them up from school, a woman approaches them outside and offers her condolences, mentioning that her own mother also passed away last year from cancer. But it was not sudden, unlike what happened to Rock. The woman expresses her willingness to help with anything, for example to watch the boys if needed. The man thanks her reservedly. He has no idea who the woman is, nor do the boys. Before bed, he reads his sons a bedtime story. Only at night when the boys are asleep, can Rock give free rein to his emotions and stop pretending to be strong. He listens to and deletes, one by one, all the voicemail messages on the answering machine, unwilling to respond to anyone. But one message, in which a sinister voice tells Rock that there is nothing left inside him except the anger consuming him, makes the man jump to his feet. However, the message is automatically deleted immediately after. Rock does not sleep a wink all night. He is a talented illustrator and tries to return to work to distract himself, when suddenly a bird crashes into the window of his studio. Startled, the man who had been sharpening a pencil, cuts his finger and begins frantically searching for the first aid kit. He cannot concentrate on anything, remembering the fatal day when he found his wife lying lifeless on the floor. Rock forces himself onward, and late at night paints a black crow on the canvas. Later, one of the boys wakes up from a nightmare and goes to his father's room, saying that there is a feather on his pillow. Half asleep, Rock explains that pillows are filled with feathers, when suddenly some strange noises make him fully awaken. The man goes into the living room to check what is happening. It sounds as if a large bird is beating against the wall, trying to break free. Suddenly the doorbell rings. Rock, puzzled as to who could be calling at such a late hour, flings the door open, but there is no one there. He steps straight out onto the road in the middle of the street. There is not a soul around. The man only hears a sinister voice repeating, "She is gone, but I am here." Rock ducks sharply as a black crow flies straight at him and then into the house. The man immediately rushes after it and freezes in horror, seeing before him a crow as tall as a human, which asks why he is not greeting it. The next day Rock tries to treat it as nothing more than a nightmare. He meets with his employer, Andy. Rock says he is ready to return to work. Andy replies that if he needs more time, he can take a break. But Rock insists that it is not necessary, believing that distracting himself with something will do him good. At home, he spends the entire evening absorbed in drawing, while the boys fool around in their room, jumping on the bed and having a pillow fight. Rock is glad that the children have recovered a little, but it is already late, and it is time for them to go to sleep. The father asks them to go brush their teeth and change into their pajamas. But the boys do not listen, continuing to have fun. Rock decides that it will not be a big deal if they go to bed a little later tonight. Deep in the night while the man continues to draw, a black crow flies in through the open window. Rock's illustration depicts the exact same one. One of the boys wakes up, sees the bird and screams loudly. Rock rushes into the room, thinking that his son has had another nightmare. The boy says that it was the crow from the drawings. The man calms his son, assuring him that it is just his imagination. When the boys fall asleep again, Rock unloads the washing machine, and alongside household chores, works diligently on his illustrations. Gradually he begins to feel his fantasies breaking into reality. The giant black crow returns and attacks Rock right in his studio, but then the fight abruptly cuts off, and the crow embraces the man, saying that it believes in therapy. In the morning the boys find their father asleep on the floor in their room and wake him up. Rock does not remember how or why he ended up there. His entire body aches. While his sons get ready for school, The man tries to clean up the mess in the house, but the scale of the disaster is overwhelming. Then after making them breakfast, Rock says that after school they will clean up together. When the boys refuse, the father snaps and yells at them. He is so exhausted and feels that he can no longer cope. The black crow haunts the man, making him think that he is losing his mind. The crow says that generally speaking it has little interest in people, only grieving widowers and orphans. These words drive Rock into a rage, but at that very moment the mirage disappears. In need of help, the man goes to a psychotherapist. 4 months have already passed, but things are not getting better, only worse. The doctor explains that accepting loss takes time. But Rock is not sure that he wants to accept it. His wife was everything to him. The psychotherapist advises the man to stick to a strict daily routine, that way the children will have a sense of stability. And Rock should not suppress his grief for the sake of his sons. He must allow himself to mourn. Wherever the man goes, even to the supermarket to buy groceries, the black crow follows him, mocking him. Rock tries to convince himself that the crow does not exist, that it is merely a drawing, when suddenly the lights in the supermarket go out, and all the people around him disappear. The man breaks into a run, but the labyrinth of grocery shelves always leads him into a dead end. The black crow continues to mock him, repeating that Rock cannot escape. He feels that he has completely lost control. All of it had existed only in his head. Rock calls Paul and asks to meet right away. The men meet at a pub. Rock asks Paul to look after the boys for a while he deals with this. Paul asks what he means. The man only replies that everything will be fine. That same day Paul takes the boys to stay with him. Rock sees them off and prepares to face his fears head on. As expected, the crow returns again that night. The monster says that it will not leave until Rock no longer needs it. He can deny it as much as he wants, but he truly does need it. The crow orders the man to draw any of his stories, the first thing that comes to mind. Rock begins, but the entity grows angry because it sees nothing but meaningless scribbles. The man quickly corrects himself, plunging into the past, the day his wife fell ill, and he took the boys out for a walk to give her a chance to rest. It was cold outside, snow was falling. That was when Rock first realized that he was not the wonderful father he wanted to be. It turned out that handling children alone was not so easy. Now he understands that it had been a dress rehearsal for the rest of their lives. In the morning Amanda, a friend of his late wife, appears on Rock's doorstep. He invites her inside. She had not warned him about her visit in advance, so that he would have no chance to make excuses. Amanda sees that Rock is not himself. He has not spoken to people for several days and looks disoriented. She urgently takes Rock for a walk in the park, hoping to bring him back to his senses, at least a little. The man shares with Amanda that he sometimes feels angry at his wife for dying before him. He will never come to terms with the loss. Through tears, Amanda recalls how Rock and his wife once had a fight. Back then, he asked Amanda to give his wife some poems he had written as an apology. And although the poems were terrible, they were the most precious gift. The woman kept them. She and Rock could not be together. They were made for each other. At home, the man tries to drown his grief in whiskey. The appearance of the black crow does not take long. The entity sneers that the music Rock is listening to is middle-class widower music. The man cannot hold back and cries, while the crow calls him a stereotypical widower. Rock begs the entity to leave him alone and reaches for the bottle again. The crow only laughs and turns off the music, then begins to tell a story about a king who had 2 sons and a beautiful wife, but then the queen suddenly died. Rock screams for the crow to shut up. He misses his wife so much and sees no point in living without her. The man even begins to consider following her. The crow merely mocks Rock, calling him weak. One way or another, the entity has achieved its goal. It has made the man angry and finally forced him to release his emotions. Someone might say it acted cruelly, but it worked. Soon Paul brings the boys back. Rock recalls the hardest conversation of his life, when he had to tell the boys that their mother was gone. That was how all of their lives changed forever. The boys became different, and their father became completely different, silent, gloomy. They often hear him crying. Their father always used to tell them stories, but even those changed, losing any trace of light or hope. The boys feel that they have lost not only their mother, but their father as well. The older brother told the younger one that their mom watches them through mirrors, and since then the boy has been constantly talking to her. He got angry when he lost things that reminded him of his mother. In addition, the younger brother became aggressive and started getting into fights with other children at school. Rock tried to influence his son somehow, but without success. They used to be a happy family. Rock remembers last Halloween, when he suddenly hears the voice of the black crow again, saying that his wife's ghost does not wander through the house. She is not a ghost at all. Only Rock is a ghost here. He loses his grip on reality, sinking deeper and deeper into depression. The black crow decides to take matters into its own hands and, speaking in Rock's own voice, appears before the boys. They do not seem to be afraid of the entity at all. The crow gives them a task, to make a craft depicting their mom, the way they remember her. The winning creation will be brought to life for one day. When the crow evaluates the results, it concludes that both boys did well. It does not fulfill its promise to bring their mother back to life for one day, because she is dead. The crow cries, just like Rock does at that moment. The school psychologist, Dr. Bowden, asks the boys how they and their father are coping. They remain silent. The doctor gently asks them to draw their emotions, so they can discuss them together afterward. While the boys are drawing, Dr. Bowden talks to Rock. The psychologist suggests discussing the difference between grief and despair. On Christmas, Rock brings his sons to their grandmother and grandfather, the parents of his late wife. It is hard for the man to be there, because everything in that house reminds him of her. The Christmas dinner takes place in a somber atmosphere. One of the boys asks his grandmother what their mom was like as a child. With a sad smile, the woman recalls that their mother was very cheerful and stubborn, just like her grandsons. When the woman suggests looking through the family album together, Rock cannot take it anymore. So that no one will see his tears, he starts clearing the table. The boys run outside to play crow hunting, while Rock struggles not to give in to his emotions completely. To avoid looking at family photographs any longer, he goes to check on the boys. When he sees scratches on them, he demands an explanation of what they were doing. The boys claim that it was the crow. At that moment Rock simply breaks down. His sons silently hug him. Through tears, the man says how much he misses their mom. In moments like that, it felt to the boys as if their dad had come back. But then he always inevitably withdrew into himself again. On the anniversary of his wife's death, Rock receives a dozen voicemail messages, but he ignores them all. The crow reproaches the man for distancing himself from his sons. But Rock simply has no strength left. The entity once again tells a fairy tale about a king, who after the queen's death, completely neglected his kingdom and drowned in self-pity. Rock can no longer bear to listen to it. He tries to drive the crow away, begging it to leave once and for all. The crow asks the man whether he is sure. When Rock answers in the affirmative, the giant bird disappears at once. At that very second the doorbell rings. Rock immediately senses that something is wrong and does not rush to open the door. The man introduces himself as Simon, a neighbor from number 56, and asks to borrow some milk. Rock says that he has run out of milk, and Simon has to leave empty-handed. At the same time the crow appears in the boys' room and tells them a fairy tale about a demon that hunts the saddest person of all. The demon is extremely cunning. Once again the doorbell rings. This time a stranger introduces himself as Dan and asks to be let in under various absurd pretexts. The crow tells the boys that the demon can feast only if the desperate person allows it. And today it has come for the most desperate person in this house. The demon constantly changes its appearance, trying anything to make Rock let it in. But the man remains unshakable. So the demon decides to resort to cunning and takes on the appearance of Rock's wife, speaking in her voice. The man realizes that it is a trap. The boys try to break through to their mom, but Rock does not let them, and instead goes out himself, closing the door behind him. Through the curtain of rain, he hears his wife's voice, calling him to go with her. Rock knows only one thing, how deeply he loves her. But the voice fades, and in a single moment everything turns into a nightmare. Rock enters an unequal fight with the demon that feeds on human grief. The man is saved by the black crow, which takes his place in the duel. Having hidden his sons, Rock becomes a witness to the crow and the demon inflicting fatal wounds upon each other. He and the boys beg the crow not to leave them, telling it how much they need it. The giant bird begins to breathe again, returning to life. Thus a new stage begins for Rock and his sons. The black crow takes care of them, becoming a member of the family. Gradually they learn to accept the loss and go on living. This is what Rock's wife would have wanted. The man gives form to his fears in a graphic novel about a widowed father and a black crow. Soon the novel goes into print and sells quite successfully. All of Rock's relatives and friends throw a party for him. They are very proud of Rock and ask him to make a toast. While expressing his gratitude to each of them for their support, the man cannot stop thinking about the black crow. For some time now, the large bird has vanished from their home and has not appeared again. One day Rock wakes up to a crow flying in through the open window. Perhaps it is a farewell. Be that as it may, the black crow has fulfilled its duty, and it has no reason left to stay. Rock feels that he is ready and finally says goodbye to his wife, scattering her ashes on a beautiful beach with the words, "I love you." He will never stop missing her, but for the sake of his sons, he will go on living. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel not to miss more exciting new products. Also, the authors will be pleased if you leave your opinion in the comments.